Chinese spacecraft Chang'e 5 discovered water on the surface of the Moon. The Chinese space program, CNSA, has detected signs of water on the Moon's surface for the first time thanks to its Chang'e 5 space probe, CGTN news agency reports. The new breakthrough is another sign that China is closing the gap between the world's two space superpowers, Russia and the United States. For many years, thanks to a series of orbital observations and sample measurements, it has been known that water is present on the Moon. Moreover, last year, a California startup called Maston Space Systems announced the development of an all-terrain robot that can mine ice on the Moon to provide future lunar settlements with water and oxygen. But all this was only in theory. So far water on the Moon has not been detected by either the rover or the lunar probe. In a new study published in the journal Science Advances, scientists detailed that the lunar soil at the probe's landing site contains less than 120 parts per million of water, ppm, or 120 grams of water per ton. In the nearby volcanic rocks, on the contrary, the amount of water is 180 grams of water per ton. All this indicates that the surface of the Moon is much drier than on Earth, although studies were conducted only in the vicinity of the landing site. The Chang'e 5 spacecraft used its Lunar Mineralogical Spectrometer, LMS, to measure the spectral reflectivity of regolith and rocks. The results obtained coincided with the results of a preliminary analysis of rock samples taken by the lunar probe. A CAM image of the sampling site. On the right is an enlarged image of the rock from which the reflection spectra were collected using LMS. B. An image, 0.4 to 1.0 mm per pixel, at 900 nanometers obtained in multispectral LMS mode at the sampling site. The colored rectangles represent the exact locations on the surface where hyperspectral data from 0.48 to 3.2 microns were obtained. LMS hyperspectral mode images, ~0.6 mm per pixel, on D9, D11, and D14 are shown as examples of regolith textures in LMS5. The water content in each spot is estimated by the absorption intensity determined empirically by the thermal correction method. Since the 1960s, Roscosmos and NASA have been the two main players in space, and this trend has continued in recent years. Last year, for example, NASA scientists conducted the first controlled flight to Mars using the Ingenuity helicopter. In October, Russia became the first country to send a film crew into space, ahead of SpaceX and Tom Cruise. However, China's latest lunar missions are part of its plans to position itself as one of the world's space superpowers. Recently, CNSA published many images obtained during the Chang'e 4 mission, which capture unique views of the far side of the Moon. At the end of last year, the Chinese Space Agency also announced the development of a nuclear fission reactor for the Moon, which will be 100 times more powerful than the reactor being developed by NASA. What's next for China's space program? The fast-growing agency aims to stay ahead of the US government and SpaceX in crewed missions to Mars, sending humans to the Red Planet by 2033.